Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Hey, welcome back to Daily Dose Radio. This is your only source for 5-minute Bible study in the Psalms, verse by verse. So yeah, of course we're fresh and organic. Today we're looking at Psalm 100. Today we're looking at verse 3 of Psalm 100. Let me be a little more specific. And we're counting down the imperatives in this psalm. We started with verse 1, make a joyful noise. That's imperative number 1. Verse 2, serve the Lord, come before His presence. That's imperatives 2 and 3. Now today we come to imperative or command number 4, know ye. Now this is a good translation actually. Know ye is a good translation of that imperative. I've translated it for myself, know this, because the idea is you need to know it. It's not a suggested knowing. This is a real knowledge. This is a you better go out and find it kind of command. Know this. That's the way I translate that. The Lord, He is God. He made us and not we ourselves, His people, and the sheep of His pasture. I also kind of followed there with that translation, and that was my translation, by the way. King James says, we are His people. And that's okay because it gives us the sense of what exactly is being said here, but the Hebrew just gives us His people. So context would dictate we are, because we ended that second line with He made us and not we, or not we ourselves. So you can add we are His, because the actual language is His people. I found, and I put this on my blog. Oh yeah, and by the way, Daily Dose Radio now has a blog on WordPress. If you are a WordPress user, if you like to read blogs, you can go there. And I add a little bit of something every week to the blog about the background of the study that we're doing for that week. And so I found this Anglo-Scottish version of the 100th Psalm in my preparation for this week. And the third verse there, let me read that to you in the Anglo-Scottish. It says, wits for the Lord, He is God. Now, wits is wit this, that is to know. Wits for the Lord, He is God. He made us and not we, folk of Him and sheep of His pasture. I like that translation, folk of Him. That's exactly who we are. We're His. He made us. The sheep of His pasture is also another important statement about being His. And we've seen that idea of sheep before back there in Psalm 95, verse 7. Actually, it told us that we were the sheep of His pasture. So now we have Psalm 97, that idea coming over here into Psalm 100. And it's a beautiful thought. We are. Go back to Psalm 23. What did David say there? The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. So the idea is we're His sheep in His pasture. He's the shepherd, and He's leading us. So know this, everyone. The Lord, He is God. There is no other. It is He that made us, and not we ourselves, because He's God, and we're not. Folk of Him. I like that. The sheep of His pasture. So true. We are the folk of Him. Now, that last line there, that last verse in verse 3, we are His people and the sheep of His pasture, that's really the very center of this 100th Psalm. You can climb up, we can make another pyramid, a chiastic structure here that leads from verse 1 to verse 3. And we have 5 lines that lead up to the last line in verse 3. We are His people, the sheep of His pasture. And that's sort of the pinnacle of this 100th Psalm. It's the crowning achievement of this 100th Psalm. It's the most wonderful statement here, because God, He is Lord, and we are His folk, His sheep. Okay, I hope you'll join me again tomorrow as we move down the other side of our pyramid and look at verse 4 on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.